Hey guys, it's Cece, and today I would like to talk to you all about trilogies. Alright, so I want to talk to you about trilogies because this month marks my first month of participating in the monthly recommendations group, which is on Goodreads and is awesome. This group was created by Kay Lorraine and Trina from Between the Chapters, which I will link their channels below so you can go and check them out. But this group is just dedicated to giving you monthly recommendations based on a theme, and of course this month's theme is trilogies. I have decided to narrow this slightly. It's probably not specific enough, but I made the list of trilogies that I wanted to recommend and I was like, this could kind of fit into some specific categories. So the books that I would like to recommend to you today are sort of underrated trilogies. This may sound untrue for possibly one of the trilogies. Maybe it's not underrated, but hey. Also, I wanted to give you mainly female-led trilogies. I have two trilogies that are both male and female-led, and they kind of swap back and forth, but the rest of them are going to be female-led trilogies, and I'm very excited. Underrated trilogies, female leads, let's do this. So the first trilogy that I would really like to recommend to you is the Everlast trilogy by Neal Shusterman. This is definitely an underrated series, but I highly encourage you to read it. Neal Shusterman is famous, of course, for his Unwind dystology as well as a number of his other books, which are also really, really good. I absolutely love Neal Shusterman. But Everlast is amazing. Everlast is one of the trilogies that is split between a male and a female lead. It is both of them. And it is kind of about a world between worlds. It begins with the two lead characters dying in a car crash and returning as ghosts of a sort. And it's sort of about the world of these mainly children because they seem to be the only ones coming back. And there's a lot of mystery as to why it's these specific kids that are ghosts and not everybody, but it is the world in between and the adventures that they go on and the really dramatic fights that they have, and it is an absolutely incredible trilogy. Definitely one that I would recommend, and I encourage you to go pick up. The next trilogy that I would like to recommend is that one that I mentioned that is not underrated at all, but hey, did you really expect me to get through a recommendations video without mentioning the Chaos Walking trilogy? I know, not underrated, a lot of people love this trilogy. It is split between a male and a female lead and is my second favorite series of all time, making it my favorite trilogy of all time. I can't recommend trilogies and not mention Chaos Walking. I'm sorry. So Chaos Walking is a trilogy that takes place in the future, in a faraway place. It is a dystopian story about a world where everyone can always hear each other's thoughts, just constantly, this noise that's always around them. And the lead character Todd one day goes walking and he finds a place of total silence, and the story just kind of goes on from there. It's fantastic, the most layered and complicated villains that I have read. Every character is wonderful, and I'm begging you, you know me, if you've been watching this channel at all, you know how serious I am about this series. Please go read it. Alright, now we are moving on to the exclusively female-led trilogies that are underrated. Yes, so the first up in this list I am going to mention is the Hourglass Door trilogy by Lisa Mangum. I know this is not a very well-known series, and I probably only know it because I am from the state that the author is from, and so it was kind of a big deal when the book came out, but the Hourglass Door series is a romance, fantasy, urban fantasy kind of series. It follows a girl in high school who is dating this guy. They seem to be kind of happy, not really, and then one day an Italian foreign exchange student moves into school, and his name is Dante, and he seems incredibly strange, and he's very different, and she's really drawn to him, but all of this weird stuff happens around him. It's definitely built around that romance, but also this book is so much fun. This is not just a romance. This book is an adventure. There is, I don't know if it's considered sci-fi or fantasy in this instance. I could see both, but it is really, really good. Me and one of my friends in high school absolutely tore through this series when I was a kid. I have the book signed. Please go check it out. Next, I want to talk about a slightly older one, and that is the Ink World trilogy by Cornelia Funk. Again, you guys know I couldn't get through a recommendations video without mentioning Cornelia Funk. Cornelia Funk is probably my favorite author. She writes incredible young adult fantasy as well as some middle grade fantasy. And Ink World is a trilogy for people who love books. And that's that. It follows our main character of Maggie and her father Mo, who is a bookbinder, and through a series of events, Maggie finds out that her father can read characters out of books. But the catch is that when he reads a character out of a book, people in the real world must be sucked into the book. It is amazing, absolutely fantastic, one of my favorite series of all time as well. Cornelia Funke is an incredible author, and I absolutely adore this trilogy. Next up, I would like to talk about Dragon Slippers by Jessica Day George. Again, I know this one is not as well known, and again, I'm pretty sure I only know this book because the author came to somewhere near my school, and I met her. With a series of other authors, I probably wouldn't have known who she was if I hadn't have been going to meet Shannon Hale and Brandon Mole, and James Dashner. But Jessica Day George is amazing, and this series is such a fun high fantasy series. It's young adult, but it's a super easy read about a girl who is sent to be captured by a dragon by her family with the assumption that she will be saved by a prince and she will marry well and everything will be okay. But things do not go as planned, and her and the dragon end up creating kind of a friendship, and she winds up with these shoes, these dragon slippers that can control a lot more than they should and can lead to these future huge events happening. This is such a fun series. It's really funny. It's a really excellent way of turning the girl saved by a prince fall in love trope into something new, so I highly recommend you pick it up. Next up, I want to mention the Stormglass series by Maria V. Snyder. You might know Maria V. Snyder for the Poison Study series, which I haven't read yet, which is an issue because technically Stormglass is a spin-off series. So I already know what happens at the end of the Poison Study series because I read this series first. However, I will say that this is an absolutely fantastic trilogy. It's been years since I've read it, to be honest with you, but I own all the books and they're really, really fantastic. And if you liked Poison Study or Maria V. Snyder at all, then you should definitely continue on in the world of Poison Study, because this is a great series with a really cool female lead and just a really fascinating and complex story. The second to last series that I would like to recommend is the Looking-Glass Oars series by Frank Bador. I think I've mentioned this series before in videos. I remember talking to people about it, but this is a retelling of Alice in Wonderland. Only obviously it's quite intense. It is about a Wonderland that is not sort of silly and quirky and all over the place. It's also not like dark, where we went through that thing where, what if we did Alice in Wonderland, but it was dark and creepy? It's not that either. It's just a world of innovation and moving forward, and so card soldiers are actually kind of these almost robots. The Mad Hatter is a very cool character. He's kind of a bodyguard for the Hearts, who are the royal family. And somehow Alice gets sent to our world for a number of years, despite the fact that she is Wonderland's princess and that they are on the verge of war. And she returns to Wonderland to sort of fight that war and take her place. It's just fantastic. I highly recommend this series. I don't know why more people haven't read it. This book also comes with art, which is beautiful. So definitely, if you like retellings, if you like Alice in Wonderland, if you like fantasy at all, pick up this series. And the final trilogy I would like to recommend, possibly not underrated, but slightly more underrated than I would like, is the Graceling series by Kristen Cashore. This is a high fantasy series, and each book is connected, but they are not really sequels to one another. Each book follows a different lead female character. So in Graceling, it is a girl called Katza. In Fire, it is a girl called Fire. And in Bitterblue, girl named Bitterblue. But in Graceling, there is a world where people who have eyes that are of different colors from each other are graced with some kind of special ability. And this can be something small or it can be something huge. There's combat, you could be graced with languages, you could be graced with, I don't know, excellent bead making. And the lead character, Katza, is graced with killing, and so she is sort of the king's assassin. It's very, very interesting. It definitely reminds me a lot of Throne of Glass. If you like Throne of Glass, I think that you should definitely check out this series. Also has one of my favorite romances in literature of all time, ever. So I highly recommend this series. Please go check Graceling out. It is one of my favorites. So good. Alright guys, I feel like I've said one of my favorites and absolutely fantastic about 1,000 times, but what would I do but recommend to you guys the best and my favorites that I've read. So I hope that you go and check out some of these books. Please do. I think that you'll really enjoy them, especially Ink World and Chaos Walking. Okay? So thank you for watching. In the comments below, let me know what are some of your favorite trilogies. Have you read any of these trilogies? What did you think of them? Let me know. And of course, thank you for watching. I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!